Today's 100th live stream is brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook. You know, America's top-rated sports booking app. Not only are they safe, but just like Deke in this fire suit, secure and reliable. And for all of my first-time users out there, because you can't get to the 100th show without having that first show. So for all the first-timers out there, if you use the promo code MOATS, you'll receive up to $1,000 in deposit bonus money. So with that being said, baby, stop wasting time. Join the celebration. Put the promo code in and get yourself an opportunity to make a little money. But Deke, as much as this is a great day, it's a celebration of us. Mm-hmm. We know at times, sometimes people celebrate a little too hard. Sometimes people don't know when to cut off. They don't know how to draw that line. And you know what? If you know someone who has a gambling problem, you know what you should do, Deke?
No.
You gotta call 1-800-GAMBLER. I say, you gotta call 1-800-GAMBLER. The free agents that the Pittsburgh Steelers currently have, and going down that list and just determining, hey, is this somebody that we would like to re-sign? Is this somebody that we would want to have re-signed at this price, or is it somebody that we would want walking and, you know, letting them hit the open market, man? But the first guy we want to talk about today is Ahkello Witherspoon. Now, with Ahkello, we know he came over via trade. Mid-season? Was that week? Was it 5 week? No, might have been before
the
that.
Season.
Yeah, it was like right before training camp. Or excuse me, right before the regular season started. Right after like camp ending and stuff. So,
because we were looking bad secondary wise in the preseason,
and for a while, it was mixed bag with Ahkello. When he was getting out there early on, didn't have the best performances. And then we also had like a stretch where he wasn't even dressing.
Right.
And it just looked like a terrible trade because we gave up, you know, draft capital, a fifth round pick, and he wasn't playing. And then we saw a guy like Stephon Gilmore, who was acquired for a 6th round pick, having some success. It definitely made us feel some type of way, but Ahkello definitely picked it up towards the second half or the ending of the season. That Vikings game, more importantly, when he had the 2 interceptions, that really turned it on and changed just, I think, how we viewed him going forward. And then from there, he really put together a strong ending to the season where he showed multiple turnovers, multiple impact plays and coverage, showed some good tackling ability as well. Just looked like a totally different player, confidence-wise and productivity-wise. So it does make this really intriguing in terms of will we want him back or not? And y'all let us know in the chat too as well. Would y'all want Ahkello Witherspoon back, man?
Oh yeah, this isn't even a question.
Yeah,
there's no doubt about it. Tell me one time he got beat in that last 5 or 6 game stretch.
Now, he played extremely well down the stretch, man.
I don't think he got beat one time. He had 3 total picks. Probably could have had like 4 or 5. Yeah, he was pretty much locked down. I mean, this was the MO on him at San Fran. Like, he's a really talented cornerback. He could go on stretches where he looks like the best cornerback on the team, and that's when they had Richard Sherman still, and when Richard Sherman still made a Pro Bowl with the 49ers. But, yeah, I'm all for it because this is the type of dude we need. These are the type of dudes that don't come around that often. The only question mark with them is just, can you keep it up? I mean, this is like your contract year, back up against the wall. So, yeah, you're going to play good to try to get that contract for sure. So now if you get money, you get some security, how are you going to look next year? Because there were times at 49, I mean, they benched him for how bad he was playing. And then because his confidence got low. But from the interview, it sounds like this dude lacks no confidence ever.
I would agree. And that was the funny part. But then we looked at when he left San Fran and went to Seattle, he got paid to go to Seattle to be the guy, and he got beat out that all season to the point where they traded him the same year that they signed him. So you can definitely see with him a little bit of, like you talked about, when he has the confidence, it shows up. But when he doesn't have the confidence, we can see how it can be bad for him.
We didn't see that this year.
Yeah. And I wonder if we didn't see that solely because the opportunities, you know, like I said, he didn't play the first half of this year realistically. Like he had, I think that the Bengals game. I know that Chargers game, he had not the best outing, but after that, it definitely picked up a lot more.
I think he wasn't even in those games for a lot, you know?
Right, but I'm saying he was in there
Mike
enough,
Williams got open a little bit on him, but you
you
didn't really see from him.
So the thing was, though, with the sample size being small, and every time we got a chance to see him, it wasn't always good. The perception around him wasn't that. And that's why I wonder, like, okay, was his confidence still good because he just didn't have to deal with a lot of negative plays? And by the time he got on, it was just the perfect storm for him where everything just kind of bounced his way, because we know with turnovers, sometimes it's like that, right? You either have seasons where you don't touch any turnovers, or you have some where they just come in bunches like they were for him. And I just wonder, is that perfect storm, or can we actually bank on this being the norm, being consistent? Because there is a difference. And that's the part where you have to make sure we're doing it right. Because if you overpay him, and this is more so perfect storm, not his norm, not what he can do consistently, well, now we're going to be in the same boat, just in a worse situation cap-wise. And that's my only concern with him. So I do agree with you in terms of bringing him back.
Yeah, we have to.
But my question now is, what's the price point? Because Joe was here, for 11?
Yeah. I mean, we could go up to that, in my opinion. I don't feel good about that, but I don't want to let him walk because I do think he is that talented. I think the right price point is probably around 7 or 8.
Now, you're willing
Could we get him at a discount? Maybe. We might even be able to get him at 5 or 6. I feel really good about that. But 7 or 8, don't feel as good, but I think that's right. I think you would do right by doing that.
So 5 games essentially is enough to give him 7 or 8 million per year.
Yeah, that's what I would do.
To me, that
is another team paying him that though. I don't know what his
that's
market
my
is.
thing, because I'm like, I don't think another team would pay him that. I think for us,
so
we're a little bit more
at 5 or
hungry.
6.
Yeah, I think we're in a little bit more of a bind, and I think he would know that. But yeah, I don't think that, that small sample size generates that type of money per year when we're talking about a guy like Cam Sutton, who's had way more productivity throughout his time here. His deal wasn't even that. That's all I'm saying. Even Mike Hilton is getting 6 a year. You think about that, and I'm like, man, you throwing Ahkello 5 games versus what these guys have done for multiple seasons, and even Mike Hilton doing it now in multiple locations. Ahkello, that has been a little bit of a knock on him. He hasn't, when he's gotten the money, lived up to it. He hasn't shown that he could do it, multiple years and be that like lockdown guy out there. So that's why I'm just like, what's the number for this dude right now, man?
It's weird.
Because it's intriguing, because the end productivity was nuts, bro.
I could see a team paying him maybe double digits in free agency.
He ended nice, bro.
Because he is really talented. And you go back to the 49ers, him locking up some of the top receivers, and then you look at what he did these last 5 or 6 games this season. It's like, dude, this could be the lockdown corner basically every team in the NFL is looking for. And this is something we especially need here with the Steelers. And then also, is it a 1-year deal? Is it multi-year? Is it 2 or 3? These are all questions.
Because I feel like
we would be getting,
if you're going to pay him for 7 or 8 right now, you're going to want to probably do a multi-year. That's kind of how I
could see it as a 1 year though.
But the reason why you don't want to do a whole bunch of 1 years is because it eats up all that cap space. And that's what you're not trying to. You don't want to kill all of that on a whole bunch of these 1 year type things on guys that you're still trying to figure out if he's like that or not. I'd much rather spread it out, 3-year deal where I got a little more flexibility. I get a chance to see him audition before I just throw, a crazy amount of money at him. And if it doesn't work out, because there is...
Oh, so you don't find 7 or 8 like that crazy right now?
Nah, but...
You think that's his market then, maybe? Or what
I think that's high end.
Yeah.
I think that's like absolutely high end. But I think if his agent, they play the situation right and they can find one other suit, I think he can get around that. But for me personally, I wouldn't want to pay him that. Just because the sample size is too small. But
yeah, if I'll
put it in the poll as well, man. Hold on, I'm gonna put it in the poll as well in terms of just because I think everybody wants Ahkello back, but I'll just put it as: would you pay him over 7 or under 7?
That's a good number.
Good?
That's a good over under. I think. Would I? Yeah, if you don't have to, you don't do it. Let's say you have to. Yeah, I would. I wouldn't want him to go out in free agency and us to lose him. Because here's the other question, though. Do you replace him with one of these other guys, one of these other cornerbacks? We went through the list. I remember J.C. Jackson was the main guy, but we're starting to think that he's going to get up to 13 or 14 million. Now, we wanted to sign him. But J.C.
has way more proven productivity. He's doing it for way longer. And that's the thing. I'm like, right now, we can't even talk about the whole season for Ahkello. We're literally focusing on a 5-game sample size at the end of the season. That's my only concern, man.
That's understood.
Yeah.
It's definitely understood. You have to bring him back, though, I think. You have to.
See, I don't necessarily feel like you have to, in the sense of if that number is going to be over 7, I would much rather.
So over 7 over, you're done.
7 over. I'm like, I would much rather go try to find another Ahkello trade or another Ahkello comp type corner free agency and then just draft the guy, because I'm still going to be able to get multiple pieces that I think could be a little bit more surefire than putting all our eggs in a guy that only had realistically 5 games where he was like, we felt confident like that. Because like I said, he played in other times this season, but we never felt like that until that Minnesota game, realistically. That's when it really started to shift for him.
He had the Ravens game before that, though. He played really well, but he didn't have the picks.
Correct. Now, a lot of people...
relationships like with the organization, though.
Now, I'm looking at the poll, and 73% is saying they like him under $7 million. There's about 100 people that voted right now.
We're saying,
but if that has to be the number, though,
we're saying,
if he's saying,
that's
hey,
the question.
if he says I want 10, what are you saying?
Yeah, double digit might be the point. If it's a 1-year deal,
it's $10 million.
Yeah, 1-year deal, $10 million. I'd do it. Multi-year, that's more tough.
What's the difference though? It'd be 20 million.
Oh, because if he does bad this year,
because
if he does bad this year, you're eating some dead cap the following season, which
but
I don't want.
You still be eating that 10 this year if it's a 1-year deal.
Yeah, I'd take my chance on him though.
Man, I can't.
What sucks about that though is if he does ball out, then you're gonna lose him.
Well, that's why for me, I said multi-year deal where that first year you get a nice thing, and from there, that second and third year can be your balloon year. But at the same time, if your play is not exactly what I think it should be, I'm getting rid of it.
What do you mean by balloon year? So a lot of his dead cap space is going to be this year.
No, I'm saying in the sense of like, think about the sense of like if it was a 3-year, $20 million deal.
Okay.
And we front loaded where you get 10 this first year, and then I don't know, 5, or excuse me, matter of fact, I'll flip it.
See, I like that deal.
But like something along those lines where it's like either front loaded where a lot of it's in signing bonus, and then it builds up in terms of like your base salary and your cap hit that final year where you got a couple of outs. Banner's contract is structured like that. Cam Sutton's, Joe Schobert. Joe Schobert's a prime example. You think of his deal, big numbers, but you could get out of it in 2 years.
I like that.
That's what I want for Ahkello, where it's like, hey, we respect your play. We respect what you did too, when you came here and some of the turnovers that you had. And we're going to give you a nice deal number wise. So respectful, people are going to see it. They're going to talk about how great it is. But at the same time, we know that, hey, we're covering you on that front end, but you're going to have to prove that you're more than just a 5-game sample size to tap into that second year and that third year of that deal. That's kind of how I look at it, man.
I like that deal. Because what was Nelson whenever we brought him in?
Nelson was a 3-year. But it was it 3? Was it? No, he was 4 for 20, 4 for 20, 4 for 25, something like that, right?
I think it was more. I think it was 3. I think it was like around 9.
Okay, so 3 for 20 then, or 3 for 25, like in that range.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you feel comparing those two on the market? Like Steven Nelson
at the time had more proven productivity at the time. Steven Nelson at the time was coming off a lead in the league in interceptions also. Now, granted, he was the most targeted, but he has still had multiple years where we could at least point to it and say, you know what, this guy's been continuing to progress the right way. So even though when we paid him, it was a surprise in terms of the dollar amount, people could still look and say, well, you know what, at least it makes sense because we can point to a full season's worth of this type of play. Whereas, like I said, with Ahkello, San Fran didn't play out. Then you just got a deal last offseason. We just traded for him this offseason. He got paid to go to Seattle this offseason. And that for me is like my question of, okay.
So it was $4 million to Seattle. I think he bumped up his stock a little bit. So 7 seems fair if you compare us getting Steven Nelson.
But this is my thing. How's he, like, if he got $4 million this year to go to Seattle and he didn't even make it to the regular season, and then he waited till the last 5 games to be able to really show something here, I don't necessarily believe that that's drastically bumped his stock up from the $4 million to the $7 million, because I'm saying to myself, and this, I'm just playing devil's advocate as like a GM, because this is the stuff that they do. When
this is what they're going to bring up.
Yes, 100%. This is how they go. As a player, bro, I want everybody to get paid. But these are the legit questions, conversations, rebuttals that they have. And that's the other part. It's like, where have you shown that you can do it for 17 games or at least 16 games consistently, where we should invest that type of money in you?
Well, I like that stuff because it lowers the number.
I agree. Yeah.
I'm really banking on those 5 games if I'm him, though, because he looked really good in those 5 games.
Me too. Like I said, I like him a lot.
How do you feel? Are you good with that 7? Like, that's the deal?
7 for me is the deal breaker. Like, it has to be below 7. Like, I would like it at 6-5. Personally, I'm giving him the same deal Seattle gave him. That 4. I'm giving him 4. I want to give him the 4 this first year. Maybe, you know,
that's your initial offer.
Put it like this. 4 base, 7 total. I want to give you $3 million up front on the signing bonus. 4 for the base, or however you want to structure it, just 7 in that first year. So it can be, I don't know, it could be a $5 million signing bonus, $2 million base salary, however they want to structure it. Then from there, we can start talking about double-digit salary. If we think that you're going to progress like that, you know what? It'd be a $10 million salary in year 2. If you get to that, but you got to prove that you can be that guy that we saw these last 5 games to unlock that 10. That's kind of how I feel with it. Like, I would be surprised if his market is over 7 right now.
Is he getting any buzz?
Well, he won't be able to know. Right? Honestly, we'll find out 2 things. For Combine, we'll get some buzz to see, you know, teams looking into him and stuff like that. But more importantly, it'll have to be a lot closer to free agency to know potential
March 16th,
other teams
right?
and markets. Yeah.
It's on the bottom of our overlay. Yeah, because J.C. Jackson's the top guy. I don't know how other teams feel about Witherspoon. I don't know if he flew under the radar enough this year for us.
But this the thing. You say
which would be good.
But think about this.
Be good for us.
Yeah, because I'm saying, like, we say it could be good for us. I also say if I'm another team or if I'm Kevin Colbert, I look at that and say that could be bad for us as well. Because if you were this nice from the beginning, why did it take so long for you to start producing like that? You've been here since, like you said, week 1. Why did it take you to Ravens, Vikings, end of the season to really come on and really start to carve out a role for yourself? Especially when we saw what the DBs were looking like at times this season as well.
Yeah.
So now, once again, when we start talking about 7 mil, we start talking about 10 mil, and we say 4 mil, and people are like balking at it. It's like, these are the reasons why that conversation could go like that, man.
I'd lean to probably coaching stubbornness, though, as to why Witherspoon didn't get as quick of an opportunity.
So you blaming Terrell Austin then?
I don't know.
That's your future DC. Is that what you said? You said coach it. Is that where we going?
You could say Tom, whoever it is. You could say whoever.
Are you throwing it? Are you throwing it on your boy Terrell Austin?
It took multiple Pierre performances for us to officially throw up our hands and say, all right, it's just time for Witherspoon. I don't care. This dude's got the upside. He's got the potential. Mm-hmm. He could do what Pierre's doing out there right now. Okay. At least, at the worst. Letting dudes burn him here and there.
I just can't believe you done changed your whole tone on Pierre, bro. They used to be Pierre Island, man.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Lord, you used to bang the table for young Pierre. But looking at the poll, it looks like everybody is 75%.
I said over. Oh.
Yeah, you're in the small minority. 25% of, yeah. But it is good to know, though, in terms of the price range, because that's what I want to know. Like, for you, it was good to, for me, it was good to hear that you said you would even go up to that 10 range max. Is that the max?
For one, I want outs though. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. I want outs after that first year if he doesn't do good, because I do think we need some type of cornerback 1, and Ahkello has the potential. So if we're not bringing him back, you got to find that somewhere else. I don't think that's easy to do.
I guess to you, my question is this: how do you know Ahkello Witherspoon isn't this year's James Pierre? Like in terms of no, you said beat cornerback 1. We have not seen Ahkello be cornerback 1 from start to finish. The same way we had never saw James Pierre go outside and be cornerback 2. And at times, he has some moments. And then we talked about how when he got bad for him, it got real bad. With Ahkello, how do we know he's not the next version of that? And that's all. And the reason I bring that is when we talk about the amount of money we commit into a guy like that, those are the questions you got to ask yourself. Because imagine if James Pierre was in this situation a year ago and it was like, we want to pay you because we think that you're the guy, we could believe in you.
There's so much more with Witherspoon though out there.
Bruh.
Let's pause it. Oh, dude, Pierre, we were going off him turning his hips in the Browns wildcard game. Really. I mean, it was a fun story. That was one of those things.
Yeah.
Whereas Witherspoon, like, he played really legit, man. Like I said, you can't pull up. One time, I think he got burned in those last 5 or 6 games. I really don't think he can.
The last 5 are crazy. Like, the productivity, everything looks great. I'm just saying, is that 5 game enough to commit to him? I don't want to get married up for 5 games. When we start talking like close to that double digit M's, that's marriage. That's like, I love you.
I just want a cornerback 1 next year, and I wouldn't want to let Ahkello walk if we can't replace him. That's all. So if
Fair
it
enough.
does take $10 million, fine, make that a 1-year deal where you have outs, maybe even multi-year deal, but just have outs after that first year.
Okay, last question before we go to Trey
So
Turner.
we will be banking a lot of our secondary on Witherspoon if that's the case.